Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. And for those who doesn't know us yet, I am Dr. Josephine Grace Rohotan and this is my husband.
Kenneth Tan.
So, are you also a doctor?
Yeah.
Yes, so we're
Regular.
both doctors and we are going to take our first water for 3 days. This is our first water for 3 days. So, we've been fasting for 3 days. So, that is dry fasting. So, what's the meaning of dry fasting?
Nothing for nothing per oram. NPO lang.
NPO. So no water, no food. So I know we've all been brainwashed ever since that if you will not take any fluid or water for 3 days, you will die. And today is our third day. Actually, it was 2 hours ago for our third day. We initially planned on doing a longer fast. That is a 7 day dry fast for radical life extension. However, for some reasons, we decided to break our fast today on the third day, and we would like to share with you a little of our journey. So, do you feel like dying, love?
No. I feel so light right now.
You feel so light. I think. How much did you lose when it comes to your weight? You started with maybe 63,
63,
64,
63 siguro.
63, and then right now, this morning, you will check.
Yeah, check.
But last night it was 61.
61.3.
61.3. So maybe it's just roughly 61 right now, or maybe even less.
Mm.
Because when I checked I started with 66.6. But this morning, early morning, did I check early morning? Yeah. And it's just 63. 63. So it's 3 kilos and 3.6 kilograms in just 3 days of fasting. However, our goal is not weight loss, although the extra weight that we will lose, partly mostly coming from fats, is also a good thing. But we do dry fasting for healing, and the thing is about when you do dry fasting, you actually regenerate your stem cells. So for those who have illness already, for those who might be a little older with medical conditions already, you might need to do this with medical supervision. So we are medical practitioners and we are not new to fasting. When did we start fasting? Can you remember what year?
Mm. 1, 2, 3, 4 years siguro.
Yeah,
4 to 5
we
years.
started fasting early 2019. So we were not together that time like how we are right now as married couple, but we've started fasting somewhat around the same time. So we've been friends for so long and we've been doing longer or extended fast before. So your longest fast was
7 days.
7 days
Water fast.
water fast. And for me, the longest that I did was a 14-day fasting. That is 7 days of that is dry fasting, and the next 7 days of that is actually the breaking the fast protocol. So it's mostly water, fluid, and electrolytes kind of fasting. So still no solid foods. And today we will start our fluids and electrolytes kind of fasting. So the major rule when it comes to dry fasting, the amount of time that you did for dry fasting, you should also have the same amount of time that you will do your transition to solid food before you go back to solid food. So if we did 3 day dry fasting, we have to do 3 days of fluids, electrolytes, some bone broth, some yogurt. Mostly just if we eat something solid, it should be very light vegetables, very light proteins in small amounts in order for us to maximize whatever benefits that we can get from dry fasting. So I think we've talked about before, where will we get our water since we are already not consuming water? You know the answer already?
Mhm.
And that is mostly
Fats.
from fats. So 1 gram of fats can actually yield about 1 ml of water. Case in point, the last 3 days we haven't taken anything, but did we pee
Yeah.
or how many times can you
Mm.
recall did you pee
One
in a
to two
day?
times.
1 to 2 times. Because generally, even if we are not fasting, you really don't pee a lot, right?
Mhm.
that sometimes it's already around afternoon. I would ask you, if did you pee already?
Yeah.
And you will say, I'm not sure, maybe once or like that. So it's your normal. And for me, actually, it's also the same. I was able to pee 4 to 5 times, but the amount is not the same. Of course,
Mhm.
it's a little less, right?
And more concentrated, I
More
think.
concentrated, and it smells worse, but it's expected because the concentration, the dehydration phase, is actually what we need in order to push our cells, to especially the fat cells, to be used up and be converted into metabolic water. And that conversion to metabolic water also equates on cleansing all the waste products that's been stored in that fats. And the most important thing about fat activation is that it also activates the stem cells in the fats. It's called MUSAT cells. So Mus adipose tissue cells, it is a pluripotent stem cells which can be used up later on to repair whatever damage in our body. We're fairly young, right? I'm 34, you are
33 going 34.
going 34. Thank you, love. Going 34 in how many months?
3 months ago.
In 3 months' time. So we are somewhat younger. So I don't think we have so much to be repaired in our body, especially that we've been doing fasting, dry fasting with water fasting, daily intermittent fasting, extended fasting. We've been doing that going 5 years now. And also, when we eat, generally we are on our safe list of JGC Raha food list, where it's mostly whole foods and also low in carbohydrate and inflammatory seed oils and other inflammatory products as well. So we've been doing that. So I think it is safe to say that somewhat we've not been piling up so much toxins in our body as we did maybe 5 years ago, right? And we are also not into alcohol drinking, alcohol consumption, and we don't have vices. Do you smoke?
No, I don't.
No, never. We've never smoked as well. So for those of you who are smoking, of course, it's your choice. You already know all of those risks, but for us, we choose not to. So now, before we drink our most beloved water, because this is the longest time, because the most exciting part of breaking the fast is actually tasting the water, because I think water is one of the most important thing that we usually neglect, because it's readily available, it's always there, and we fail to appreciate it. But when you do dry fasting, even if it's just for 12 hours for the first time, 14 hours for the first time, try to appreciate water, and you will see that it will taste really sweet. So Love is gonna taste it because this is his longest
Dry fast.
dry fast. But for water fast, he did longer, 5 days and 7 days. And so far, can you compare the
Yeah.
difference, water fast versus dry fast?
Dry fast is actually surprisingly easier than
Easier,
water fast.
yeah.
Because I remember before I was struggling, or maybe
It's really a
because
struggle.
maybe it's my first time or
Mm-mm.
I haven't tried it before, but with dry fasting,
It's like natural,
it's like
right?
natural,
It's really natural.
and I don't know, maybe it's because also that I'm already doing low carb
Yeah.
for a while.
The transition is easier when you are not fueling on carbohydrates,
Carbohydrates.
because if you are fueling on carbohydrate, it might take 3 days for you to go into ketosis. That is your body's metabolism shifting from purely glucose, mostly glucose, to now fats. But for us, usually after we fast for just 10 hours or 12 hours, right then and there our ketones already is already rising. So we shift between glucose and ketone metabolism quite swiftly, because we are somewhat metabolically flexible. So last night, around 56 hours of fasting, we checked our glucose and ketones. It's fairly low. It's 65 for you, 62 for me, and around 4.3 ketones. That's fairly high. For me, it's 5.9, because I also didn't do so much as compared to him, who was working the whole day, who's
Mhm.
on his regular work. But while for me, I'm just staying still. So maybe that's why all of my ketones are just there intact. But today, I think we have a full morning. We were both
Mhm.
out, and we will see how our ketones and glucose so that finally we can try our waters. So I there's so many things that I would like to talk to you about fasting. I think I made a video before, way before. I think it was still in 2020. I don't look like this on that video, but that is still me. And many of the gist of the benefits of dry fasting is there. So before, I'm also not so open with dry fasting, but eventually you can see that it's really, really beneficial. It first came from Russia. So we will first check. You're gonna go first? So yeah, this one. We've been pricking a lot lately for monitoring. So we are using this glucose and ketone meter. So this is one of the most reliable, somewhat in the market. So it's from Keto Mojo. We just ordered it online. So 77. So when imagine we've not been eating for 3 days and the glucose is still 77. So how is that possible? It's possible because we have gluconeogenesis. And actually, if you will work more, especially if you do some movements, then you can see that your body will trigger more glucose or even ketone production. So, and your ketones would be
Mm.
3.4. So 3.4. I think you used up your ketones. And we'll check mine now. So we did walking in the mall. I went to the school and then went out a little. So, wait, it's tough. It easily clot. It clots easily, love. Okay. Even if I'm doing pricking for so long, I still have that little fear before I finally push the button. So 97, it's so
You're
high.
stressed.
Maybe I'm stressed. I'm stressed and I'm excited also because I've been preparing our drinks. But that's the case. To think I've been on like hypoglycemia for the last 2 days that
Mm.
I've not been doing so much, right? But today I was out and moving a lot, and my ketones is at 6. It's quite high. So for others, this one is already very high. So we can compute this manually, but for the interest of time and of course
Mm.
maximizing technology, we'll just sync it with our app. So we can also check our GKI or the glucose ketone index. So the smaller the glucose ketone index, the better it is because when it comes to healing, because that is when we are actually like cleansing our body. So it is mostly used for many things. So today we will check today. So mine is GKI of zero point 0.8, and it says there for application, it is very difficult to achieve without doctor supervision. Okay, that's why we are doctors and we just supervise each other or ourselves. But mostly, this is indicated to shrink tumors, especially brain tumors, and also cases of Alzheimer's or even epilepsy. So, for those who have intractable epilepsy, no longer responding to
Medication.
medications, then induced ketosis is one of the important methods that we can employ. And yours is 1.2. So 1.2, it says here, for those using keto therapeutically for the treatment of diseases such as cancer, epilepsy, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, traumatic brain injury, and chronic inflammatory disease. We don't have that, but we do this for actually more on stem cell regeneration because the cheapest way to regenerate stem cell is through fasting, especially that it's free. And the first thing that you will have is water. So this is just first plain water. So cheers, you will savor it.
No.
Little by little. So yummy.
Yeah.
You can feel that it's sweet. Like there's that sweet taste, just water lang for
Ito
you.
lang.
Try to make it go through your throat. Surrounding your mouth. It's like wine tasting, but just water. So yummy. So we will try now cold water. But actually, it's not recommended to just be drinking plain water, but we are just trying to savor it. But after this one, we will now drink electrolyte water.
This is much better.
Because you really like cold, right? So refreshing. So that's our first water. Ouch, 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 ouch.
Wait,
Brain freeze.
wait.
First water in 3 days. But generally, when you break your fast, the very, very important rule is for you not to give in to anything that can possibly spike your insulin. So the main things that can spike your insulin would be sugar, carbohydrates, to some extent, glucose and fructose, including real fruits. Okay, so if you have to take fruits, it should be in very, very small portions, or we will use fresh fruits in here for our infused water. So but the water shouldn't be plain water, or else you will have electrolyte imbalance. So sodium is very important. So what we have here is an infused water. So it looks like juice already, but this one is infused with. So this is just lemon. This one is frozen berries, just for the flavor. We will not eat the fruits. And we have here sodium. Our sodium source would be baking soda. So 2 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt. So that's sodium bicarbonate and sodium chloride. And then we also put there around 700 milligrams of magnesium. And then there's also some turmeric. That's why it's colored orange. Curcumin, the active component of turmeric. Some zinc, and then I think the potassium we will just take in tablet, just one tablet only. So it's very important to have full levels of your electrolytes to make sure that you will not get imbalance. And also, as you transition to your solid food intake, you can take some probiotics. So we have there kimchi. You can also have sauerkraut, or you can have plain yogurt. So I think we will do it. You will do with plain yogurt, and I will do with plain yogurt also, and some kimchi maybe. And the other thing that you have to avoid is those with artificial sweeteners, because especially those zero colas, zero calorie sodas, because you just cleanse your body, and it would be such a waste for you to pile up those chemicals and toxins again. It's like throwing mud into a freshly cleaned room. So I hope you don't do that. And don't worry, that can wait if ever you need some celebration. So we will pour now our, I don't know how it will taste. Maybe it will taste a little salty or something. So we can just dilute that with water if ever you cannot take it. And there's also peppermint here. So here, cheers. So many flavors
yummy.
combined. And it's yummy lang
It's
to
yummy.
have that different kind of flavor. So, especially that it has the electrolytes that we need. So, doing this, the same time later, we will also have our broth. So, we will have chicken broth with some herbs and salt for more electrolytes and collagen and other vitamins, so that we will not have the refeeding syndrome. So, read more about refeeding syndrome, and that's the number one danger of doing fasting the wrong way. That is breaking your fast the wrong way. That's why we have to break our fast lightly. For those who are not following this, you might notice that after you do an extended fasting, all of the weight, all of the like lightness and goodness that you feel while you're fasting will be instantly gone. It's because you didn't break it properly. So I think that's just it. We just want you to know that there are doctors like us who still believe in natural healing through fasting, and we still believe in modern science still. So we are still practicing doctors. We still prescribe medications when necessary, but it doesn't mean we already forget the very important lessons of the past, and that is through maximizing what nature can do. And our body can actually heal if we give it time and the break it needs in order to heal itself. And fasting can do just that. So thank you so much. Any words, love?
Mhm. It's so yummy.
It's so yummy. I'm
Thank you,
glad you
love.
like it. That's my only reward for this time, that you like our breakfast drink. So here's another one because we need to replenish our electrolytes. So we will have to go now. Cheers, love.
Thank you, love.
Bye. Mhm.